Hello and welcome to Last Time On, the Watchcast for everyone who wants to watch all this prestige television, but who has time for all of that?
I know I don't.
I'm Xhafer.
And I am Ben.
And we are 3 episodes and 2.5 seasons into Breaking Bad right now.
Efficiency.
Right? We are burning through this show.
I know. I was honestly more worried. I feel like I'm following it okay.
I had an interesting conversation about this with our podcast buddy Chris, dear mutual friend of both of us, and he has seen this show. And so he's kind of like, where you at? Like, what's happening, you know? And we were talking about it, because I'm like, I'm not getting details, right? He knows the premise. Things that I should not know are not being shared with me. And I'm like throwing stuff out there like, you know, it made sense like this, there's this, which probably means this happened. You know, this was in the background, which probably means this thing. And Chris is all like, this show might be too good for your premise.
Because it's actually setting stuff up and paying it off. And...
Yeah. Like, this show might be either the perfect show to try this with or the worst show to try what we're doing with.
I think it's perfect because I'm going to get a false sense of hubris going into something else.
That's very true. I think if we were to try to do another show that is not nearly as well laid out, we're going to run into a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what, I mean, that's funny. That's what we're kind of hoping for, to be perfectly honest. Right now, it feels like this podcast is a episode review podcast with a dash of improv. I know we wanted to aim for an improv podcast with a dash of TV review.
Yes.
And this show is just too good for that. But c'est la vie.
We'll see.
We'll see if it holds up.
We'll see how it is when we get to season 5 and we've watched 6 episodes. That said, I got really lucky.
Yeah.
So... we're recording ahead of time, not sure when these episodes will actually hit the internet.
I think this would come out in the middle of June, this episode.
So, hypothetically, a few months from now, just to put us in a place and time, the Writers Guild is just going on strike.
Today, yeah, as we record.
I got very, very lucky that had we been doing a week-to-week review, something would have bんspoiled for me.
Oh.
But since we jumped right deep into season 2, it didn't fucking matter. I had like one of those like news push notifications where Dean Norris, the actor who plays Hank, was talking about how his character was supposed to die at the end of season 1, but this show was on the air the last time the Writers Guild went on strike. They had a truncated first season.
They did, yeah. I noticed it was short.
Which meant that they didn't get to the point where they were going to kill Hank. Which meant, and I'm just, projecting here because I did not read the article because I don't want to know how long, anybody sticks around. But it seems, to be we have to have him back for season 2. Let's just keep the guy around and not be like, okay, season 2, episode 2, we kill you.
Yeah.
Where it would have fallen originally in our story. So it was him being like, yeah, I got to stay on this TV show because of the writer's strike.
Hey, take them where you can get them.
Yeah. Always happy for people to get paid for their work.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is an interesting story. I'm glad you shared, Ben.
Yeah.
So we watched season 2, episode 9, 4 days out. I don't know if this is a particularly famous episode of this show because I haven't done research and I refuse to.
Exactly.
But I feel like this could be one of those episodes.
This was a great episode.
This was a fantastic bottle episode. And I feel like I'm maybe even have seen it before because on our old podcast, Draft the Universe, I think we did a bottle episode draft. Did we? Or maybe we just talked about it?
I don't think we did it.
Okay, I think we had talked about it at one point because I remember looking into shows with bottle episodes, and that had kind of I feel like I saw this episode on a list of best bottle episodes at some point.
Do you want me to look it up? I can check.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
This does feel like something
we would have done. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Listener, I don't think we've actually talked about it on this show yet, but Ben and I, along with the aforementioned Chris, did a podcast called Draft the Universe. It's all available online.
Yep.
On your favorite podcatcher. We don't make it anymore, but there's 130 episodes of us talking about all kinds of shit. Everyone's favorite thing on the internet, 3 white dudes doing a podcast.
Hey, you're only white if you're listening to rap in the car.
Terror illustrates my error. Now I can't hang around my mama 'cause I scare her.
Here at TSA, you are not.
Did I beep? Oh, no, you didn't beep. Just a random security check. If you could just step aside, please. Just over here. Random, huh?
That's fair. All right. Well, we open this episode on the White family, including Hank and Marie,
Yes.
at the oncologist.
Which I feel like I hate going to the doctor.
Yeah. And the oncologist is the worst doctor to go to.
And
nothing against you if you're an oncologist. That is not a
it's
personal statement.
No one, you understand, no one wants to see you.
Yeah.
You were, and I understand how tiring that must be, being like, everybody I encounter all day is having the worst day of their life. But I really appreciated the acting of Dean Norris in this scene, where it was clearly there is a social obligation for me to be here. I am providing nothing here, and my wife is being annoying, and I know Walt doesn't want me here.
Yeah.
I am in hell.
I actually think Walt might want him there.
Yeah.
So I've got a little last time on for you here.
Okay.
So we know Walt has escaped Tuco. We know Skylar and Marie are talking again. I think these are not unrelated incidents. I don't think that the conflict was resolved outside one without the other. So last time on, we saw Walt being kidnapped by Tuco. I think Hank rescues Walt from Tuco.
Without knowing.
Exactly. And he is just considered a random kidnapping victim.
Interesting.
This might even place him and Jesse together if they're both rescued at the same time. As, like, random kidnapping victims. Which would explain why, like, Walt, like, Skylar might see or hear Walt talking to Jesse at some point. Mm-hmm. That would now be, oh, well, they went through this thing together.
They have trauma bonded.
Yeah. They are the survivors of this kidnapping. I think the stress of being kidnapped for weeks, I think they were out for a while, has reunited Marie and Skylar. I think Walt also missed a bunch of chemotherapy while he was kidnapped, which is why they're all at this appointment together to find out how his cancer is doing.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to allow it.
So Walt gets a scan, he gets a glimpse at his results, and it looks like his tumor is the size of his heart.
Yes. And I really enjoyed the setup here, where now we have been able to piece together Marie is a lab tech at a different oncologist.
Yeah.
And she really goes into the lab techs are the real people who know what's going on. Mm-hmm. You don't need to wait for an oncologist. I could tell you just looking at it what's going on. And it's very funny because in that moment you're meant to feel like, well, Marie's an idiot. Mm-hmm. And then what immediately happens? Walt, as he's leaving, asks the technician, hey man, like, what do you see? What's going on? And the technician's like, man, I don't know. I'm not telling you shit. I'm not getting, like, even if I think I know, I'm not getting fucking sued.
Yeah.
And then Walt sees something, assumes he knows what's going on, and is just like, I don't need to wait for the doctor. I can see the scan. I know what's going on.
Yep.
And
I'm about to die.
Immediately makes the same thing we were having that gut reaction of Marie is an idiot. Mm-hmm. He does the same exact fucking thing.
Exactly. The show is so good.
Oh, yeah.
I almost feel bad about not watching all of it, but
as he's waiting to go in for his scan, he has a horrible coughing fit,
Yes.
goes into the bathroom, where the most egregious crime we have seen on the show takes place. We have seen murders.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen meth making.
Yep.
Some other guy talks to Walt while he's in the toilet. There is a code.
He's just checking on him.
I know. You wait for him to say, "Hey, can I get some help?" You do not initiate.
You're at the oncologist. People are going through chemo. There's a non-0% chance that was a doctor or nurse or someone. Like, there is a circumstance here. But I understand and appreciate the sentiment and the respect for bathroom etiquette. Ben.
Yes.
We go to theme. When we come back, we meet Saul Goodman.
We finally meet Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, this is the lawyer who gets a spin-off, and that show's supposed to be pretty good too. I think it just wrapped.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk is great. We find out Walt has only made $16,000. Ben, what happened to her?
What the hell happened to him?
But I got the van.
Well, okay. I can absolutely go into this because I was actually just about to say, we know he had more money than this.
For sure, this is 20% of what he made the 1 week of dealing with Tuco, and that's not counting the money he had stashed, presumably already.
And so we saw him stash in the last episode a bunch of money, although it
And
really
a
didn't
gun.
seem like that much.
I think I counted like 6 or 7 rolls. Each
There
one
were
of those
stacks,
is
yeah.
$20,000.
I mean, it still didn't seem, or you counted the rolls in the bag. We also saw him pull the stacks out of the air vent.
Yeah.
The stacks didn't look that big, and there weren't that many of them.
Okay.
But I don't know. He pulled a bunch of stacks, shoved them into a diaper box.
Mm-hmm.
In between the season premiere and now, after they get out, after he escapes from the hostage situation, he goes and immediately starts to try and find that box, only to find out that Skylar had destroyed it. In her rage at Walt being disappeared, she freaks out, like, my husband is
burns
missing,
diaper
we've got
boxes.
no money, I've got, a baby on the way, and I've got these shit diapers, and, like, lights it on fire.
Okay.
And all that money is destroyed, with her never knowing that everything that was supposed to solve her problems was what she was just getting rid of.
All right. Saul and Walt talk a bit here, and
I
Saul
love the
It's so
nuts
good.
and bolts of crime stuff. Like,
Yeah.
just talking about the, like, percentages of money laundering. Like, I don't want to see, like, mobsters doing mob stuff. I want to, like, be in the room with the guy with the books.
Yeah. When Walt's like, I'm going to have to cook more, and Saul goes, yeah, that's my legal opinion.
Yes.
It's so good. Walt tells Skylar he's going to go visit his mom for a couple of days.
And I loved this because apparently they have a relationship so toxic that Skylar's just like, no, I will not be going with you. No, I will not be calling you.
Yeah.
I do not want to be in any sort of situation where your mother remembers I exist.
Yep. Yikes.
He also drops this when she's just like, hey, let's just have a relaxing weekend. Do something to get your mind off the test results. And as anyone who has waited for test results knows, no, we're just going to have a awful fucking fake vacation while we all are sitting around thinking about the same horrible thing.
Yep. Yeah. We cut over to Jesse and Kristen Ritter, who I didn't know. Yeah. Jessica Jones was in this show.
Yeah, he's there with the bee from Apartment 23.
I was about to make that joke.
Okay.
I've got it in my notes. Nah, it's a good reference. It's a
Yeah.
good show. Anyways, the bee from Apartment 23 wants to take Jesse to a Georgia O'Keeffe museum.
Yes. Which, read the room, Kristen Ritter. Like, you're dating a guy like Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Does he seem like the museum art exhibit type?
She knows he doesn't, which is
No.
why she has to entice him with the fact that all of the paintings are secretly of vaginas.
Yes. That said, I did appreciate that Jesse's house, I don't think it's the same house.
It does not look like the same house.
It is a nice place. It's interesting seeing, like, Jesse in a nicer venue than Walt.
Yeah.
And also, Jesse sprang for the Crunchberries. They have cereal while planning their trip.
Yeah. Walt calls Jesse and tells him he needs to clear his calendar and prep for a cook-a-thon. He lies to Jesse about why, which Jesse will later realize. Walt gets dropped off at the airport and then picked up in the RV.
Do you think he bought a ticket? Did he buy a fake ticket?
He must have. The way that their financial situation is, and knowing that Skylar is kind of like the czar of household money, I don't think he could have gone to the airport without buying a ticket and her not thinking something was amiss.
Yeah, which, it feels weird. All right, my family might be destitute. I've got $16,000.
Mm-hmm.
We need to put $800 on the credit card for a round-trip flight that I'm not getting on.
Yeah, but it's a cost that he's willing to pay when he thinks about how much money they could possibly make
Yes.
on this cook-a-thon, which is the goal, really, is to get to that 747.
737.
737.
Doesn't need that big of a plane.
They're big planes.
Also, we have the least populous airport terminal ever.
This place smells wrong. Really badly wrong.
They can pull up immediately right out front of it, and there are like 2 people walking around with their luggage.
I have been in many, many airports, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I have been fortunate enough, listener, to spend 5 years of my life traveling around the continental United States for work. And I have been many, many places, from big cities to small little towns. And this is one of the tiniest airports I've ever seen. I would compare it to Toledo and Green Bay, which are both towns that barely warrant having an airport.
Right.
It is a tiny little fucking airport. And I've been in smaller airports, to be clear, too. But those are for, like, very specific, like, private plane kind of, like when I went out to Beaver Island and stuff, like, the Sheboygan Airport is smaller than this, but it felt like it was maybe 2 or 3 gates.
But the thing that got me was there was also constant PA chatter, as if it is a much bigger airport. And
Do we know what city they're in, besides not Santa Fe?
I'm sure we do.
I'm sure.
I'm guessing it's Albuquerque.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what? I'm going to say it's Albuquerque.
Whether or not doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Okay. Anyways, Jesse is picked up rations which Walt goes over as they drive out to seclusion, like 4 bags of Funyuns.
So the thing that gets me here, one, I'm mad at Walt's disdain for Funyuns. Jesse went the distance. He got different types of Funyuns.
He did.
Like, he got the variety sampler
He's not
pack.
eating the same Funyuns for 4 days.
But also, Walt does not seem like the kind of guy who's not like, we're hitting a party store on our way out of town.
Yeah.
Like, he just trusted Jesse to get supplies. Like, we have like weird speed ramping of them driving like for hours out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I would imagine they'd hit up a Meijer on their way out.
Yeah.
It's not like they need to be somewhere by some time.
They would have passed a Piggly Wiggly by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But Walt also probably doesn't want to be seen on camera anywhere, or also spend money and leave a trail.
Yeah. But it was still very, like, clearly nobody, like, you trusted the guy you can't trust with anything for 4 days worth of food.
Yeah, I mean, a little grill. Well, you've got propane tanks.
Yeah.
So like a burner and some ground beef in a cooler or something.
Or some hot dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Do a fire.
Beans, Spock, but no ordinary beans. These are from an old Southern recipe handed down to me by my father.
Or just some fucking jerky.
Anyways, they telegraph this very good because
Yes.
it's very clear that the battery's going to die.
I actually wrote down, dipshit is gonna kill the battery.
Yeah.
So they fight, Jesse puts the keys on the counter, and Walt is like, no, that is our workstation. You can't put the keys there. And then instantly, as soon as Jesse is out of his eye line, I now no longer care what he does with the keys. And Jesse puts them in the ignition.
And we see a little red light come on.
Yep.
Then we cut over to our methtage.
Yeah, science montage.
Yeah, we see the boys cooking meth for a bit. They've made 19-gallon bags of meth.
At 2.2 pounds each.
Walt works this out to $672,000 of profit each.
How did you get the house back from the bank?
I bought the bank.
Jesse convinces Walt to go into town and find a Denny's and a hotel.
But first, not knowing the meth market, they're going to flood the market, right?
I believe there is no intention to sell that much meth at once.
Okay.
And I think we learn that from Walt and Jesse's conversation at the end of the episode.
Okay. I took that more as, we're going to sell it all at once, but I don't think I'm going to live to see tomorrow.
No, it's...
I'm going to nickel and dime this out over the next 8 months.
Yeah, no. He makes a point with Jesse to be all like, the family needs to get the money after I'm gone because you're not going to be able to sell this in time.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the goal. At least economically, it would be smart to not do that. Or for Jesse to travel and sell it, which seems needlessly risky, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of meth.
Well, we also don't know what their distribution pipeline is right now.
Yeah.
Is Tuco dead? Is Tuco now working for them, as I said, maybe?
No,
Probably not.
Probably
I think
not.
Tuco's probably dead.
Chico's probably dead. We learn, so they try to start the RV, and they learn the battery is dead, and thus begins the comedy of errors.
Yeah. It's immediately, well, like, okay, battery's dead, but we've got a generator.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, too. It's all like, oh, we'll just siphon some gas out, get the generator going, charge it up.
But then Jesse, like a dumbass, pours a bunch of gas all over the generator.
Gets it right in the air filter.
Yep. Doesn't let it air out.
Yep. And that's the thing is, if they had just, like, stopped and let the generator sit for 15 minutes...
Would have been fine.
all the gasoline would have evaporated.
Yep.
That would have been caused a problem. Wouldn't have been an issue.
Also, why is Lungy McNolungs the guy who's doing the siphoning?
You won't have to live with the damage.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Fair. Oh, okay. You know what? I'm going to allow it.
I mean, it can't be worse. The
Yeah.
situation, it can only improve his situation. So.
Yeah, so they blow up the generator because they try to ignite it while it is soaked in gasoline.
Yep. And then Jesse puts out the fire with their remaining supply of water.
As Walt stands there with the fire extinguisher, just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Jesse tries getting cell signal and can't, so they resort to using Walt's phone, which was a point of contention because Skylar monitors his phone calls.
To the point where one out-of-place phone call will be noted.
Which I'm going to go ahead and call. Last time on, Walt has cheated on Skylar.
I'm going to say, last time on, Walt got caught calling drug people, and Skylar thinks he's cheating.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to agree with that because I'd like my point.
Okay.
I will take my point now. Walt has cheated on Skylar.
So, the other thing we get into now is they both have one phone.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, we saw that Walt had a burner phone to call Jesse.
Yes.
Why does he no longer have a burner phone to make crime calls?
Well, he probably wasn't anticipating the need to make crime calls. He has a bit of a Spartan attitude when it comes to bringing things along. He's the guy who won't even bring an extra outfit so he doesn't smell like meth.
Yeah. But they're fighting over using phones. They have no water, no real food. But I will say this is still not the worst camping trip I would have been on.
I mean, the conversation tonight turns to drinking piss pretty quickly.
Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Probably not.
No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
Ben,
Yes.
is it still the worst?
We've been on some awful camping trips, Jafar.
We have. We have definitely.
We have been camping in rural Pennsylvania as it rains for 9 days.
I have seen tents fly down hills on like water slides.
Yes. So, I'm still saying this is better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't been flooded out. Although they'd probably appreciate being flooded out at this point.
Yeah.
They call Skinny Pete to come save them. They try to check in later at night, and he's all like, yeah, after I cross that river. And they're just like, oh, we're fucked. And then the phone dies.
Yeah, what river? And we never get any closure on that.
And we never will.
Well, we'll see about that. But they fall asleep, the last of their lanterns die, and then Jesse wakes up to Walt just outside the RV cranking it.
Yeah.
Just
cranking it.
Yep,
Just
he is
hand on his
manually-
rod.
Yeah.
Just...
He is manually turning the rotor in the exploded generator, trying to trickle charge the
battery.
RV.
Yep.
And this is so nerve-wracking because I've jumped cars before. You've jumped cars before.
A couple times.
You know, if you try and start it too soon, you've just started the whole process over again.
Yes. Which is why Walt is so insistent that Jesse not start it yet.
Yeah. And why each time Jesse's like, we gotta be done, right? Walt's like, no, 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Just because I know he has that same anxiety. He has no idea how long we have to do this. But the idea of doing it too early is perpetual.
Exactly. And they Walt clearly pushes to the point of exhaustion. Like, he stumbles back into the RV.
And he is, like, passed out. Jesse thinks he's dead.
Yeah.
How often do you go out into the deserts of New Mexico and find 2 guys in an RV just cranking it, taking turns?
Yeah. Too many times. I'm sad we didn't get a scene of Walt checking to see if the keys were still in the ignition before cranking it.
That would have been funny, but just too sad. But after what appears to be hours and hours and hours of manually cranking this RV, they try it, and it sounds like it starts, and then it immediately dies.
Yep. Throughout all this, Walt does nearly pass out. He is unconscious momentarily. He coughs really badly afterwards, and it's come clear that he cannot hide his illness from Jesse.
Yep, he starts coughing up blood.
And Jesse's puts it all together at this point.
Hey, the chemicals don't go bad. And it's like, the chemicals going bad is as much of a motivation for Jesse as, I might be dead this time next week. We have to cook as much as we possibly can now. I feel like that would have lit at just as much of a fire underneath him without the unnecessary obfuscation.
Yeah, he knows he cannot cook as good as Walt.
No. And he knows this guy is my meal ticket, so I don't know why the subterfuge.
And we get a shot of like this dead wolf outside the RV, and when we cut back in, Jesse seems to know everything that's going on with Walt. He's instantly taken Walt's side. He's instantly sympathetic to Walt. He's not...
Yeah.
They were fighting. They were at each other's necks for a while, and this is done now.
Yeah, because Jesse, while being a moron, is not a monster.
Yeah.
But then we get Walt just going on about how he deserves this and how it is my fault. And it's like, dude, you do not have a monopoly on disappointing your family. Like, this is not... You are not the only person who has made dumb, bad choices.
Yeah. So, after this, Jesse starts just kind of rambling.
Like, come on, we've got all this stuff. Do some science.
You made thermite. Make a robot or something. I don't know.
And he's just like, make a robot, make a battery, do something. And then Walt, like, jumps up. And Jesse's like, you're going to make a robot? He's like, no, you dipshit, I'm going to make a battery. Which made me really sad, because I know it's not the show, but I would watch Methbot.
Yeah, well, of course, Ben, as a BattleBots alumni...
Fair enough, yes, okay, maybe Methbot is more in my wheelhouse than I had thought. Yeah, okay, you are absolutely right.
He is such a high school teacher here.
I actually wrote that down. Like, he's still a science teacher at heart.
Yeah.
He starts telling Jesse, like, rip all this shit apart, give me all this stuff, we're making a battery. And
it's not just that, it's describing everything as he's doing it.
he's describing it in a way that he's like, and you're following along, right?
Yeah.
And then our missing element is... And Jesse's like, wire!
Yeah.
Copper.
It's so good. Makes a 6-cell battery and the engine turns over.
But we haven't answered our most important question.
Which is?
Where is Skinny?
Skinny Pete.
So, Xhafer, I have to ask you, what happened to her?
What the hell happened?
But I got the van.
What we don't get, Ben, is the episode before or after this, which
Guessing
was
after.
which was just told from Skinny Pete's perspective, where he goes to rescue our heroes, anti-heroes. I don't know what to call them.
Protagonists.
In the process, ends up accidentally kidnapping a bear. He ends up at the zoo. It's a whole thing. But him and the bear end up driving for like 20 miles.
Quickly, in here. Who's driving? Oh my god, Bear's driving. How can that be?
And they're just in the wrong way. He does let the bear go by that river.
Mm-hmm. Go be free. It's like, it's a panda, man. It's gonna die.
Oh no, not a panda. They're endangered.
You just need to go back to nature, bro.
Why do pandas sound like Yoda to you? Anyways, yeah, so no, this is this whole thing that we miss that is a great other episode of this show that we won't watch.
Yep.
And he ends up finding the place and getting there an hour after they've left. Enough time where they wouldn't see each other passing down that one road.
Gosh. All right. But they did save the day with science.
Yep. Jesse affirms that Walt's family will get his share if Jesse has to sell it all after Walt dies, while dropping him off at the airport. At the doctor's, we find Walt's tumor has shrunk by 80%.
Yes.
The coughing blood is a side effect of chemo, not cancer.
Well, so it is radiation pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not appreciate the oncologist, like, slow selling the good news.
Oh, he doesn't get to do this very often, Ben.
I know, but still. So, remission can mean the cancer just isn't growing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we hope to see is 20%, but it not growing at all is positive.
Yep.
It's decreased by 80%. It's like,
Yeah.
man, just start the meeting off that way. But I did appreciate Walt is just like dumbfounded, and he's just like, but I'm coughing up blood. And the oncologist is like, motherfucker, you gotta tell me that.
Right. That is pertinent knowledge.
That said, also, it feels like radiation pneumonia is something the doctor should have warned him about. Like, okay, we're about to start this process. Side effects may include...
Right. So after Walt gets this good news, he bloodies his knuckles punching the paper towel dispenser to credits.
Yep.
And that's our episode. Ready to roll some bones, Ben?
I am ready to roll some bones.
All right. All right, that is a 9.
9.
We're skipping 9 episodes, so I'll look that episode up in a minute. But before I do, let's make some predictions.
Lincoln, what are you doing up there?
Guessing? I guess no one's coming.
I have seen into the future.
You ruined the prophecy.
Well, so first we're going to review our outstanding predictions,
Oh, yes.
see where we're at.
Yes, sorry. All right, so episode 1, my predictions were Jesse is going to get shot. Still waiting on it.
Mm-hmm.
Walt cheats on his wife. I'm taking my 2.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We haven't had positive confirmation of that.
And then Walt's cancer diagnosis is incorrect. Pretty sure the ship has sailed on that one.
Yep.
And then after that, I had Jesse accidentally spills a bag of meth because it wasn't sealed. So close.
I am sure that has happened. I'm almost willing to just like give that.
Marie comes to visit and steals Walt's hat. And Hank catches Walt. Walt cuts him in the operation. If it wasn't for the second half of that, I might aim to collect that point right now.
Yeah.
But that does not appear to be the case currently.
So I've got from our first episode, Skylar never actually writes anything. I feel pretty good saying we're there, but we'll see.
Yeah,
because
all we
I
need
said
is another
never.
reference.
Bogdan gets run over by a car in the car wash. It's a feel good moment.
Not yet.
We haven't seen it.
Waiting for that finale.
And this one actually makes me sad because we didn't get to see my boy in this episode. But Gomez is murdered violently by Hank. We got to see Gomez last time, but we didn't get to see my boy Gomez in this episode.
Yep.
But it was pretty much a
Yeah,
two-hander.
Yeah, this is a really tight episode.
So I'm holding out that my boy Gomez is still out there.
All right.
And then the next one, Hank has to choose between Marie's kleptomania and his job. He picks his job. Seems like they're still together, so...
Yep.
Oh, I got Tuco ends up working for Walt. If we've decided that Tuco gets killed...
More than likely. It feels that way.
It feels like he's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
And then no one ever actually tries to turn Walt and Jesse in. Every problem is only because of their own paranoia and naivete. That seems to be still on the board.
I'd say that's still on the board.
Every problem is just because they keep misunderstanding shit.
Definitely still on the table. All right, what do you got for this one?
So my daytime prediction, Kristen Ritter, we don't know her name, but my guess is she becomes a capital problem. Not maybe in a, like, I'm going to go turn you into the feds kind of way, but in a, like, I'm going to blackmail you kind of way. I'm going to hold you making meth over your head. Also, I'm going to, like, start making bad choices and be like, my meth dealer boyfriend will take care of you kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
My evening prediction is the RV explodes.
Okay. I have something similar.
And then my prime time, Skinny is never seen, but is called at least 3 more times.
Skinny Pete is like a dude. Like, Skinny Pete permeates the zeitgeist. Like,
yeah.
Skinny Pete was just in The Mandalorian. And I don't know anything about that actor besides that he's Skinny Pete. And I haven't even seen this show.
Well, because there is no actor. We never see Skinny Pete. He is just a reference point for other person Jesse knows.
Okay. So for my daytime, upgrade with 2 Gs. They have a ton of cash. And Walt can't just win the lottery. So I expect things with the operation to improve. Or at the very least, Walt is going to buy property. He's gonna buy some land. If we see them cooking again, I expect it to not be in the RV. Mostly because of the events of this episode going so poorly.
Yes.
But also just they each have hundreds of thousands of dollars coming from this. We're skipping 9 episodes. They've got to do something with that money. Yes. And Walt can't just magic it into his bank account. So he's going to do things that are long-term investment.
Buying businesses, buying land.
That kind of stuff. Evening. Skylar finds out about Walt cooking. I'm not sure Walt is going to continue cooking at this point. Mostly because the impetus is gone.
Yes.
If he's going to live long term and he just got all of this money, he has to find a way to slowly work it into his life and be done. There's no reason for him not to continue. Also, if the drama is going to change from gun hijinks and him not dealing anymore and cooking for a bit, at the very least a little while, I assume the cancer comes back. We got a couple seasons of this show. I expect there to be other forms of drama to kind of keep the story going until things come crashing down around Walt to the point where he feels the need to cook again for whatever reason, which leads to my primetime prediction. And I hate to even say these words out loud because it's bad. And I don't even want... It's like...
They fix the water heater?
I think they lose their baby.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Something's going to happen there. The story is too happy right now. And we know the baby's due any day. This is exactly the kind of season finale thing that we're not going to be able to watch that would happen, that would tear them apart. Mm-hmm. Something needs to drive us into next season. And I think that's going to be Skylar and Walt having very rocky roads. And I think between him finding out about, or her finding out about his meth history now, and also the loss of a child that it's going to push them farther away. Okay, so looking it up, Season 3, Episode 5 is our next episode. The name of this episode is Moss. As Skylar reconsiders her objections to Walt's return, he mulls over returning to the drug trade. Also, Hank's obsession promises trouble for Jesse.
Okay. So it seems like they have separated.
I think they've separated and maybe not getting back together. It sounds irreconcilable at this point, which is one reason why, it's like, well, if I'm not going to have to hide this from my wife, it'll be a lot easier to just be fucking rich. So that's the vibe.
All right, man. Well, I want to know what's going to happen next time, but we're not going to be able to find out.
Nope. No, we're skipping too far ahead. We're going to be in
mid-season 3.
Yeah, we'll be in the top half of season 3 after this. Thank you so much, Stripe, for letting us use one of our favorite songs, Goon Squad, as our theme music. They're currently touring until the end of August. You can check them out on Spotify, Bandcamp, Google, wherever you listen to music. They've got music there, and you should definitely go check them out. Thank you also to Annette Lucina for the wonderful photograph of the TV that we used to create our podcast cover image. Thank you for doing your art and then licensing it under Creative Commons so that other artists can use it without worrying about having to buy a stock image subscription of some variety. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.